Thank you for joining in for this week's episode of ExpandAbilities Meets. This is Alex.
And this is Rob.
All
I'm,
right.
I'm practicing my voice for June.
For June, because you're going to be getting on stage and singing.
I, I'm gonna watch somebody on stage for
Yeah,
sure.
no, Rob's not the singer. Rob and I are going back to Nashville. We're going to catch some country music at the CMA Fest. So we're gonna see what's going on down there. But we really appreciate you guys tuning into this. As always, um, we're here to talk about mental health and athletics. We are here to we're bridge the gap. We're here to bridge the gap between mental health and athletics, and specifically, and we're trying to bring awareness to to the topic in particular. Rob, is there anything you wanted to add with what we're trying to do each week with doing these Expandabilities Meets podcasts?
One thing I do want to add is you froze for a moment,
I did.
but
Thanks for that. Thanks for that observation, Rob. I appreciate that.
it was. But we do want to bring awareness to coaches, parents,
Administrators,
administrators,
schools,
the world.
who else?
Hey, anyone you can think of.
Anyone you
It,
could think of. Because this is important stuff. This is life or death. I mean, just the truth of it. I mean, it sounds pretty brutal, but it's just the harsh truth. This is what we're dealing with.
so,
These are kids' lives we're working with.
what topic should we address today? Not really address, what topics should we just talk about?
Perfect. Glad you asked that. Not like we haven't talked about that before, but for those who are tuning in. Um, our plan for this. So for the next, so in our next eight or so episodes of this, we are going to cover our modules that we cover in our ExpandAbilities Coach Certification. Now, we're not going to do the modules full depth. We're just going to give our insight and opinions regarding the topics that we cover. And just a quick overview of what we're doing. Our eight modules that we have for this first certification that we're offering is depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, suicide ideation, autism spectrum disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, learning disabilities, and stroke. Those are subject to change as we are updating this, and every 2 years is the recertification period. We will talk more about that as time goes on, but also at the end of the podcast, since we want to focus our attention on the topics that we have prepared for you guys. So, this first one, we're going to be talking about depression. Again, specifically in athletics, this is all geared towards athletics, coaches, at players. So that's where who we're gearing it towards, since that's where certification is for specifically. So, Rob, you could start this off. I'll give it to you. Ball's in your
Sure,
court.
sure. One thing I want to come back on
Go for it.
is to make sure everyone's aware is that in this platform, we are trying to make it a very relaxed environment. We
Absolutely.
we we are not making fun of any type of topic or challenges that anyone is going through. But we do want you to have fun, listen to our stories, and and make your own opinion, whether good opinion, bad opinion, whether this hopefully this will help you. However, if it doesn't, maybe it help someone that you do know, or a coach that you do know, or a client. However, it may help. Now, depression,
Showtime.
depression, depression. So I have experience with this, not personally, however, working with a client that had this diagnosis. Does that make sense?
So yeah, and a little backstory, since Rob and I are close, I know this type of stuff. He's not only a coach, He's a counselor, works in the school system. So he works with all different types of students. I know he could share this as well, but
Yeah.
I kind of just jumped the gun and I wanted to share that with you guys. But that's a fair point to share with everyone is that he works with all different types of students, not just athletes. So
Yeah.
continue on, my friend.
Perfect. So this one young lady, she was a sophomore when I met this person. Funny story about it. Whenever I met this person, the one of the counselors that really work with individuals about to go to college, but that person is also her basketball coach. So she came to her basketball coach, said, "Hey, coach, I have this going on, blah blah blah," and Sally said that he really didn't have time to work with her. So he said, "Hey, let me introduce you to Coach Harris, the job counselor that y'all just mentioned." She came to my office. She sat down. I said, "Hey, I don't like to get meetings started, getting right to the where the challenge is. What do you like to do?" However, what she said was, "My dad just got tased by a police officer last night." And I said, "Oh my goodness, that's crazy."
Well, you probably weren't expecting to be told that right away.
No, no, no. So I was taken back. However, with that being said, we gained a close relationship. Um, I've helped her with many challenges. This person was going through, I'm not going to tell you her diagnosis, what she was going through, because of confidentiality. Um, but those things that she was working through was difficult for her. And possibly I could tell that maybe she was going through depression as well. Was she? I'm not sure. I don't know. I wasn't her doctor, so I can't say for sure. However, it was a concern of mine. And those are one of the things that we often talked about. I often talked about with many of my clients that I have worked with in the past was depression.
You knew the symptoms, so that's kind of what you looked for, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was very, very taken back, very, we talked about her sleep patterns. We talked about that. We talked about what she does after practice, talked about what she does during practice. Um, is that person engaged? So those are the things that I spoke with her about.
Just like her different types of behaviors and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, you gotta think like she probably didn't have a lot of people that were there for her.
Right. Right. Well, there were people there for her. I don't want to say there wasn't people there for her. However, they didn't
Not
know
on that
how.
kind of level.
Right. Didn't know how to properly help that person.
Yeah, because well, and that's something I've experienced too, is like it's different to say, "Hey, I'm here for you," but then it's compared to actually doing something to help that person. It's kind of the difference between the word sympathy and empathy,
Right.
right?
Right.
Like sympathy is like, "Oh, I feel sorry for
I feel
you."
this. But
But empathy,
empathy, hey, I can relate. I understand what you're going through. Hey, I've been there with
oh
you
yeah.
before.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm like,
Yeah.
man. So like you actually been in that situation, you can relate and or you've known someone who's gone through similar situations who you've helped, you've counseled. And so I mean, it's good that she had you there for her and that she could count on you and so she eventually relied on you more as the year went on.
Yeah, she did not only the last 3 years, and she's doing great now. She is proud of herself. She's proud of her progress she's made because a lot of the work was her. She's done most of the work. So maybe one day down the road, she'll be able to come on here and tell her own story.
That'd be
Right
great.
now, right now, we can reach out to her. Maybe I can reach out to her, but
Was
it'd
part
be
of
great. It'd be great for her to share her story firsthand.
was one of your goals to help her feel that sense of achievement?
When I first met, when I first meet clients, my goal is to make sure they feel heard. Make sure, hey, I'm not just a person that say, oh, I understand how you feel, or guess what? No, I don't understand how you feel. I've never been in that situation. So I'm not going to sit here and lie to that person. But what I can say, as we just said before, I'm going to try to show you the avenues how we can work through this. If we do step A, step B may happen. I'm not going to say step B will happen, but it could happen. Um, so make sure we follow a plan and have that plan in place, and know that, hey, guess what? Hiccups is going to happen. Hiccups is going to happen.
Well, you break it down into steps. You're not going to accomplish the world all at once. You got to break it down into steps where you can take it one at a time and eventually at their level, like everyone's going to take it at a different level. I'm sure the students you work with, that student might take it at a way different level than the student you see right after that, right? Who could be
Sure.
taking it a lot slower or a lot faster.
Right.
But the interventions are a lot different. Like I know for my clients, I see clients of different abilities, obviously. Since I work with individuals currently with developmental disabilities, but also some who have mental health challenges. And the interventions I use are very different from one to the other. And that's the thing is like having the individualist mentality where it's like you have to structure the way you speak and the way that you act and the way that you go about planning for the future with that client
Yeah.
in that treatment in the
Yeah.
way that's going to work for them based on their strengths, right?
Right. No, you're exactly right. We always try to realize what their strengths are, where they can.
Strengths-based approach, right?
Right. Right. Where they can improve at. I never say where they're weak at, because weak is like a horrible word. It's always
Never
say,
say never. We'll go with the cheesy sayings.
hey, never say never. Exactly.
Never
Just
say
try
never.
always try to move forward.
Never give up.
But but what about you? How what's your thoughts on depression?
Man, that's a loaded question. So the big thing with me is if like I've worked with a lot of people who have been diagnosed with depression, especially when I worked in the inpatient psych ward. That was very common. That was a very common diagnosis, obviously. And for those who have never seen a psych ward, but have maybe seen it on TV, it's exactly what it looks like on TV. So nothing different there. You got the padded rooms, you got the scrubs, you got everything. So it's pretty intense stuff. But it was one of the best experiences of my life, and I wouldn't trade it away for the world.
Yeah.
Um, but with that being said, I would always say don't let your depression or don't let your diagnosis be a label.
Hinder you.
Yeah, don't let it hinder you, but don't let it be your label. Don't let anything be your label because you shouldn't let anything define you because there's so much that make you you. And that was the huge thing is like I worked with kids in the psych ward and they they struggled with identity issues. They didn't know who they were. And that was something that they thought about every single day. And you got to think when they're in a locked unit with no TVs, no cell phones, no tablets, nothing. All they got is their thoughts, coloring, and activities. It's like, all right, well, it gives them a lot of time to think about themselves.
Yeah.
So they're just constantly stuck in their endless thoughts about identity. Most likely
Yeah.
that's what they're thinking about, right? And
Yeah.
how
Well,
they don't
that's
want to
what's at the
live.
top of that's what's at the top of their head,
Yeah. And how they just
possibly.
and how they just don't want to live. And one of the big groups we did that I led was suicide prevention. And I'm not going to talk about suicide prevention because that's another one of our modules that we're going to cover a couple weeks from now. But depression and suicide kind of go hand in hand, right?
Yeah.
So depression, there's a lot that goes into depression. Major depressive disorder is one of the biggest types, right? And so it's with it being diagnosed, I mean,
Trust me, you know,
I'm just at a
I,
loss of words.
I've seen, I literally seen individuals knowing that they just can't get out of their bed.
No,
Can't, they just have no desire to 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 take a bath, no desire to
eat,
to
brush teeth,
to eat, brush
activities
teeth,
of daily living.
basic care of themselves. Uh, no other than getting up and going to the bathroom. Other than
If
that,
that,
basic care. Yeah, yeah.
sometimes they'll just keep a bottle next to the bed and just use that. Who
And just
knows?
use that. Yeah,
But
definitely.
the big thing that I think is important to touch on is there's a difference between feeling depressed, and having depression. Because feeling depressed can be a feeling.
Sure.
It could be a short-term feeling. So if a family member dies, it could be a short-term feeling. Depression can be diagnosed when that feeling lasts a lot longer and longer and longer and just doesn't seem to go away. And
And it's affected many things and many people and
it's affecting your brain consistently.
consistently. Yeah.
And so there's a difference, and I think that's what gets overlooked. And it happens a lot with other things too, like anxiety. We're not going to do a sneak peek into that one either. See how we're tying everything into each other. It's
Yeah.
awesome. Oh, this is so cool.
Yeah.
But
I have anxiety just thinking about that.
I know, right? Yeah. Now we gotta miss work tomorrow. But
Haha.
yeah, no, can't do that. But there's a difference in what we're feeling and what's actually going on, right? Because what we're feeling could be short term, but what's actually going on could be a long-term effect.
Long term effect. Yeah.
And we got to figure out what's causing this stuff. Some people with depression, majority of people with depression, it's not just one sole thing causing it. A lot of times it's genetic, it's hereditary. It's just going to get passed down from a family member, from a parent. And
Yeah.
it sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's also, compounded by a lot of different, you know, incidents
Yeah.
and thinking things would never change. But one thing I always try to work with, even within myself, is look at it like a river. Like a river continuously flows, or a stream continuously flows. Nothing's going to stay the same. It's either going to get better or, Lord forbid, it gets worse. But I believe everything's going to get better. Something is going to change. So
Yeah.
we just have to be prepared and ready for that change.
Well, here's the thing. People with depression and people without depression think differently. People without depression arguably can get out of bed, can go about their daily lives, can brush their teeth, do activities, go have hobbies, things like that. I'm not saying people with depression can't. That's not what I'm saying at all.
I was about to say that.
Yeah. No.
Can
No.
they can can they both be two things at once? Yes.
Yes. No. Everybody is capable of doing anything they want. It's just some people require some assistance, and that's okay. Um, but that's the big thing. It's okay to have assistance. It's okay to recognize when you need help. Now, Rob and I have talked a lot about depression in particular. Now, when it comes to sports specifically, I had an athlete once. Now, here's something, Rob. Bullying. Can bullying relate to depression?
Well, definitely.
Right. I
Yeah.
know. Yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why you look at me when you said that?
Oh
I
no, no,
don't
no.
know.
Rob's not a bully. Rob's not a bully. No, 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 no. But he's the opposite. Yeah, he's no too caring to be a bully. But
Right.
I had a player once in football. He was an eighth grader and he was bullied uh constantly by these players, and some of the other coaches just didn't even think twice about it. And it happens. Coaches sometimes overlook things like that, the team dynamic, because they are so focused on the competition or the team, or maybe they're just focused on getting out of there, especially if it's a volunteer role and they're just trying to do a good deed and get out of there. And it
Right.
sucks, but that's just real life, and that's how some people are.
Sure.
Um, but he was constantly separating himself from the group. He wasn't trying as hard as he once was, and you could just see that there was a decline, and there were times where I would talk to him and I would pull him aside, make sure everything's okay. And if things weren't going well, he would tell me. So we developed that athlete to coach relationship that was pretty solid. He can come to me if there was an issue, and I would handle it as best as I could. And then make this as fast as I can. He finished the season. He ended up getting some playing time, and to be honest, I don't know if he returned to the sport.
Right.
Um, I don't think it was anything against the sport. I mean, anything against that team in particular. I just think the sport wasn't for him, which is fine. I'd rather have someone stop playing because of that reason than because they just get bullied off the team. But the athletes participate for camaraderie. They participate to be a part of an atmosphere that's greater than themselves.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously not everyone, but majority of them. And that's why it's our job as coaches to create that environment for them to not only succeed but have a good time.
So, of course, every person has different symptoms, correct?
Hmm.
How would you go about recognizing a person on your, say, your football team that could possibly be depressed or have depression without it being in their medical forms or information?
Yeah. So it won't always be documented, especially if some parents do not want to take their child to get psychologically evaluated. It's not, it's just, it really comes down to what the family wants, but it can be seen through symptoms. And
Right.
so specifically with the symptoms is are they withdrawn? Are they distant? Are they talking? Are they quiet? It could be as simple as that.
Yeah.
Are they social? Are they their demeanor, their affect, so their facial expressions. It's just there's
But
so many different things that you can read just based on their body language that
body language. I was going to say body language.
stealing your words, man. See, great minds
I
think
know.
alike.
Yes. Yes. Which is meaning that you're having more talk time than myself, but I know
All right,
you
go.
will.
All you then, man. Go
Oh,
for it.
no,
Oh, all right.
no. I like to go off of you,
You like to
you know,
observe.
observe, then, hey, and rebut. I'm like that, I'm trying to
More
help.
of a rebuttal guy, like a lawyer.
Yes, somewhat. I only
Yeah.
ask questions that I know the answer to. You know
I only nod and hope it's not a question.
that. That
Uh
happened before.
no, I mean symptoms, like there's all different types of symptoms, which are covered in our cert, right? Right. So that's a little hint to
We have
go look
we
at
have a
that.
cert. There's a certification.
Oh yeah, yeah. You want to tell them about it?
Uh, I, I think we are the creator of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Tell them about our weekend. How did we create this? You know,
Well, it's
when
been
we
it was a
fought,
long time in the making.
it was a long time. I mean, I'm talking about where we said, okay,
Oh man,
now, now let's like squeeze it.
we spent a while in Indianapolis
Yeah,
condensing this thing, making sure it took all our ideas and threw it in. Um, and that was kind of that was a huge thing. We spent hours and hours,
ours and nasty pizza, horrible pizza.
yeah, in this conference room at a random hotel in Indianapolis, trying to craft this certification course where we can help coaches. And we knew this was the vision for a while, and we had the info, but we live in two different areas, so we had to meet up and we had to figure this out about how to finally get this created. And story time, we had this awful pizza, terrible pizza. I don't know, I'm not even gonna say where it came from because I can't remember for the life of me.
Right. I tell you what, I would if I knew where, if I can remember where it was.
You would.
I,
No, you would not.
I would
You would not
blast them
call them
out.
out. No, you
I
would
would
not.
blast them.
It was
I would.
awful. The worst
Right.
part was it was
Because I wouldn't want anyone watching this to go to that place if
the
they
worst
happen to
part
be
was it was recommended. That's the worst part.
right.
It's not like we just looked this up on Google. It was recommended by some lady at the hotel.
Right.
It's the best pizza ever. And then we got it, and the meat wasn't even cooked. The cheese wasn't cooked. Everything was
The
falling
dough
apart.
wasn't cooked.
I mean, nothing was cooked. And then the worst part is they they mistaked the pizzas. So then they gave us an extra pizza, thinking, oh, we just got two pizzas. And then we ate like one piece. And it's like, oh, man, we got two of these too.
Right. And we gave it away. And they
Yeah,
loved it.
they loved it. Yeah, they fell in love with the pizza. And so,
Right.
meanwhile, we were left hungry after hours in this conference room. And so, but hey, we got something good out of it. So it worked out.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, I think Taco Bell would have been a better move, but that's just me. Back to this. Now, since we got that out of the way.
Yeah.
So what can add to depression in athletics can be injuries. Injuries. If someone gets injured, oh man, I remember I
You
had
got
an
caught.
no, I got an ankle injury once. I think it
Uh,
was, yeah, no, I got a concussion. I got a concussion. And I got so mad I punched a wall. I was in high school. I don't know why. It was really dumb. That hurt my wrist.
yeah.
So it was kind of like a twofer, right? And so, and I'm not saying this caused depression, but I've seen athletes, especially those whom I've coached, who just immediately you could see they're out for the game. They're out, which is it's just one game, but they're out for the game, or they're out for a week, or they're out for 2 weeks, and boom, demeanor just is completely dropped.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell you what, yeah. I had a similar story, not the same, of course. But I remember one day in practice, they called a slant, like a slant curl route for me. And I was a sophomore, and my brother was a senior, and all they could do is like, hey, 'cause I used to try to show them off because I wanted to start. I wanted to play varsity.
Yeah.
I wanted to start. And they used to say, hey, you need to chill out. You need to calm down. Because I would go all out. I did this curl. I went up, the ball was high. So I outstretched my hands all the way up. And then I got boom, laid out. Yeah. Yeah, I got laid out. And I can remember I was out the next game and a half. I say game and a half because I was able to go in the second half of the second game.
Yeah.
They set me out for a game and a half, but
I'm sure you were pissed.
I was pissed. I couldn't practice. I couldn't do anything. Which so I was like, hey man, I didn't know anything about concussion, when I was playing
No.
or depression or anything. But I know at that moment I wasn't feeling like regular Rob, how Rob used to feel.
Well, and you're probably thinking like, man, I'm going to lose my starting spot.
Yeah, yeah,
Like I'm going to lose, like I worked what I worked so hard for.
yep.
Well, there's so much to tie into depression, and we could talk forever about this because it's such a commonly diagnosed, it's such a commonly diagnosed uh, mental health condition, especially nowadays. More so commonly diagnosed in younger generations. We're seeing
Yeah.
it. We're seeing it in teenagers a lot more, right? And so I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about it more as we continue on. But
We will. I'm looking forward to our next segment for
I am
sure.
too. Hey, next one is drumroll anxiety.
Anxiety.
Anxiety, which goodness, it's going to be a huge one. Okay. But it's anxiety. And we cover two different types of anxiety in our coach certification. Speaking about our coach certification, We are about to close this podcast, and since we're about to close, I think it's fair that I do a
Let's
little,
snippet.
little snippet of it. So, ExpandAbilities Coach Certification. It is for coaches and athletic personnel. Who are athletic personnel? Well, those are athletic administrators, whether that be athletic directors within high school programs, college programs. They could be within youth organizations offering community athletics for youth, which are children, um, which obviously is to provide opportunities for the betterment of athletics, which is what we want. We want people participating in sports. We want to provide opportunity. And that's our goal with creating this thing. We want to provide opportunity for all athletes to participate in the same game where they feel like they have a place. Where if there's an emotional situation that happens, coaches are prepared to handle it in an appropriate way. And we are determined to provide the best resources that we can in order to provide coaches the best, in order to help coaches provide the best environment they can.
Yeah.
So, we thank you for joining in to this week's session of Expandabilities Meets as we covered a very important topic. It is the first of the series, as we have seven more to cover on this series alone. But we are going to do Expandabilities Meets every week. So please, I ask you to tune in, listen to us chat about mental
Hit
health and
that
athletics,
hit that
athletics, share
like button.
stories. Hit that like button, subscribe. Uh, Visit the website if you're a coach, athletic administrator, or you just want to take the coach certification if you're interested in it. If you're a student, the link is below. Feel free to take it. We'd love your feedback. Reach out to us if you have any questions about it. We'd love to talk to you. And
Yeah, you can help us improve it,
absolutely,
of course.
we would love your feedback. So, with that being said, Rob, I'll let you end it.
Hey, I'm Rob, and you are.
Alex,
This is Expandabilities Meets.
thank you guys. See you next time.